Hey, good morning. Well, I made La Crosse, Wisconsin last night about 9 o'clock. Now, this is the Canadian Pacific rail line, and up here is Burlington Northern Santa Fe crossover. I slept right here last night. I don't know why. I mean, I slept comfortable, but I just didn't feel like I got the rest. I guess knowing that house is right there, kept thinking dogs were going to come up to the corner here and bark until the owner got out. But yeah, I could go either way. I could also the Dakota, Minnesota Eastern, the DM&E comes through here. They pick up in this yard and they'll take it northeast or northwest to Winona, Minnesota. That is the beginning of the DM&E. I may try to go that way to Mankato, Minnesota. I got a buddy out there from back in the old days. We rode 30 years ago. Yeah, he's got a place. He's wanting me to stay. Then Minneapolis, I got a friend. She's about 70 years old. She actually was hobo queen a couple of times. She's wanting me to come up and see her. So I can go either way. I'm thinking about walking down here to the bridge. Now I know they have a bull on Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Because my first time in my life I ever rode through here, I come in from Minneapolis and we crew changed. And as soon as I got off the darn train, the bull rolled up on me and he ran my name. And nothing came back right away, so he just gave me a warning and let me go. And I had walked down, there's a road on the other side of this yard here. I walked down that road and got up under the underpass on the other side, and cops were swarming, flying down that little dirt road. What had happened is, after I left, he ran my name through the railroad computer and found out I had been warned several times before. Of course, this was Burlington Northern back then, before they merged with Santa Fe. And so I seen a worker here in this CP yard. It was Sioux Line back then. And he told me, he goes, yeah, that railroad cop's looking for somebody. He just took off the train. And that worker didn't know it was me. And I said, oh, really? Huh? He must have did something bad. Yeah, where you going, buddy? And I said, east. And he pointed a train out, and it had a white caboose, Sioux Line caboose on the end of it. And he goes, we ain't going to be using that caboose. We're just transferring it to another yard. You're welcome to ride in it. So I got up in that caboose and rode all the way to Adams, Wisconsin. That was like a 30-car train. That was back in dark territory days when they didn't have no signaling system. Oh, I bet you there's some water moccasins in there. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of one winter I was up in this area. Talk about cold. I had gotten to Kansas City. There's a yard in North Kansas City called Murray Yard. Let me switch over the tracks. I'm carrying a lot of stuff. And I really hadn't been paying no mind to the weather. Of course, this is January, and I slept out by the airport between the main line and the Murray Yard waiting for one to roll in and crew change. So finally one did, and I opened the plug door boxcar and got up inside, and that north wind really started howling. We were having ice. It wasn't that bad. It was maybe 30 degrees, 28. And we started pulling north, but by the time we got to Ashland, Nebraska, I used to carry let me back up a little bit. I used to carry a little digital thermometer, indoor-outdoor thermometer. And by the time we reached Ashland, it was 17 below zero when I was in that boxcar. I was wearing my sleeping bag and pacing the floor back and forth in that boxcar to keep warm. But they took the crew off the train and just left it. And here I am in that boxcar trying to stay warm. And about 6 hours later, I couldn't stand it no more. And the coldest ride I ever had, it was 27 below zero before I knew it was a damn emergency then. So I got off that boxcar and started walking in shin deep snow all the way up to the lead power locomotives. But the darn things were locked and there wasn't no crew on board. So what I did, I went back to that third engine, that trailing engine, and I'll show you a window on one of them, but I couldn't get in, so I took that seal off around the glass that holds the glass in the door, reached in and unlocked the door and got in, and then put that window and that seal back in order to stay warm. And then finally, about 2 hours later, the new crew came, and I went and hid down in the bathroom, and I heard him come in. He came in to undo the manual brake on the outside and check the gauges, and he, for some reason, knew I was down there. I don't know how, but he opened the door and didn't act surprised, so he goes, "Where are you heading?" I said, "Sioux City, Iowa." And he goes, "Yep, this is where that train's going. Just keep your head low. Don't touch nothing." And I didn't see you back here. So by the time we got to Sioux City, about another 150 miles north, I'm looking behind me is why I got sidetracked, distracted. Oh, I didn't even check that thermometer, but I bet it was colder than 27 below. I tried building a fire, couldn't. They even deeper snow in Sioux City, probably a foot. They ever tried to get a fire going at 40-mile-an-hour wind and put the snow, which is almost impossible. But yeah, let me. So what I ended up doing is going to the police station, and they let me sleep in the lobby until the next morning, which was cool. But yeah, holy crud. Yeah, this DM&E is like 3 a week that come through, pick up, and bring to Winona. But yeah, this train here, that's a rail train. They put big 1/4-mile long sections of ribbon rail on them. And they lay the track off of those cars. It comes like, I don't know, 20 per row, just loaded with rails 1/4 mile long. And then when they get to where they need to join it, they'll just put one of them welds in it. If I see one, I'll show you one of them hermetic welds. Now I'm trying to find a place off the yard. I know this yard don't have a bull unless they call one on you. But yeah, I rode out of here that first time with the cops looking for me. He was just one of them bulls that wanted to show himself. But now I gotta be careful. Every single yard I go to now, and I'm not exaggerating, somebody knows me, whether it's a worker or a bull. And that can be a blessing and it can be a curse. So I'm kind of going into dangerous territory up here. That overpass is where the junction is, the 4-way crossover. I was thinking about after I go to Mankato in Minneapolis, I may just ride the High Line out if my stimulus still ain't come. That way, if I get to Seattle, it'll be cheaper than $100 to fly to Anchorage. Yeah, I keep checking my online bank account and nothing pending or anything yet. Oh, boy, I bet this camera's all bumpy and bouncy. Yeah, I looked tore up this morning. Tore up from the floor up. Just didn't sleep good. Not that it was cold. I mean, I got good enough gear to... If I would have had the gear I have now back then when it was 27 below, I'd have been all right. All I had back then was an intermediate Army sleeping bag. Yeah, I hate walking in this kind of gravel. It's almost like pea gravel. It's like wearing high heels on the beach. You sink down in that stuff. You burn extra energy. Yeah, they pushed these rail cars out because they weren't down here last night. I walked down to the bridge looking for a place to sleep last night. Walked so much I was sweating. Yeah, and there's no way out of here either except on each end of the yard. There's a road over there, a fence, and a park, and a reservoir pond over there. I wish I had a head mount camera. Maybe when that stimulus money comes, I can look into investing in a better camera. Hire somebody to be my cameraman. Go down to the mission and hire a home bum. Yeah, this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to... I didn't realize it was still that far down here. Well, that's one little story for today. At least you kind of know the plan of what I intend today. So, yeah, going this way is St. Paul in Minneapolis, but it breaks off in Winona and Minnesota City and goes west to Mankato. And this way goes back to Chicago. Now the BNSF crosses up here, four-way, and Chicago is that way on BNSF and Minneapolis is that way on BNSF. And their tail end hangs out right under that bridge when they crew change. So I might just do that. But I'll make another video when I get down there.